Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Business. Now, after witnessing wild swings, markets ended in the green. Markets advanced for the second consecutive day, supported by gains from RIL and HDFC Bank. Hero Dadia with the wrap of all the market action.
An absolutely interesting start to the week is what we've seen with Nifty gyrating by almost 200 points in intraday trade. If you see the day's low, that was at around 18,940, and we did touch a high of 19,158 in trade. So that's the kind of trade we saw in today's session, and clearly we ended near the day's highest levels. In terms of Bank Nifty as well, it was interesting to see because there was support coming in and we ended above those 43,000 levels again near the day's highs. Overall, this is the second consecutive session of gains. And we've seen RIL as well as HDFC that have contributed the most to today's session. Bank Nifty also clearly outperformed the benchmark indices in trade today, except auto as well as FMCG and all the other sectoral indices that were trading in the green. And you have the broader markets which ended absolutely flat. So major of the action in today's session was in terms of the large caps. Talking about the top gainers, BPCL was up in trade on the back of earnings. Apart from that, Reliance Industries, as we mentioned, as well as the SBI Life, all these three counters up on the back of earnings. Ultratech Cement on the expansion of capacity was up in trade, and you had ONGC that saw some smart moves. On the losing end, UPL reacted on the back of numbers. Apart from that, Tata Motors, Maruti and Bajaj Auto were under pressure, as well as the Axis Bank, which ended in the negative. Let's quickly talk about the newsmakers. Petronet LNG was an interesting one. Profits up 10%, but on the back of the costly diversification, the stock slumped under pressure. Adani Green, the profits jumped and the shares rose as well. M&M Financial was down in trade, one of the top losers in the broader markets on the back of earnings. AU Small Finance Bank on the back of the merger as well as earnings was under pressure. Premier Explosives, strong numbers seen on Friday, that one. LT Foods, Supreme Industries, a few of the other names on the back of earnings. KPIT Tech was interesting because it is one of the first companies that has actually gone ahead and increased their guidance. And that was interesting to see on the back of its smart moves coming in there. SBI Cards and Vodafone were other moves that did see some smart moves. So clearly, there was that pickup that happened after the first hour of trade. Now, whether this is sustainable or not, during the week is going to be interesting because the US Fed is something which is being eyed, as well as comments from Bank of Japan meeting is absolutely crucial. So two global events that we will be eyeing, as well as the auto sales numbers. Back to you.
All right, so while markets have been volatile in the recent days, how will the Nifty perform going forward? Is more pain in store for equities in the coming days? Gautam Shah from Goldilocks Premium Research shares his insights.
I saw and I read your view on the indices, and by the way, I mean, we've now kind of broken below 19,001 again, once again. You were of the opinion that the Friday's move was a quote unquote, not quote unquote, but a dead cat bounce. I mean, I'm not quoting you verbatim, but that's the inference that I drew from there. And you believe that 19,200 is the resistance, and we could arguably come off and retest the recent lows. Can you explain that?
Yes, Neeraj, I think I wish I had spoken to you a couple of weeks back, because right from 19,600, 700 levels, we've been maintaining a cautious stroke bearish stance for a while, because we just thought that everything came in together to suggest that the market did top out for the medium term at levels of 20,200. Whether you look at it technically, whether you look at it flows, whether you look at the sentiment, the kind of madness that the market saw at 20,000, the kind of vertical rally that mid caps and small caps had seen, I have not seen such a parabolic move in mid caps and small caps in a very, very long time. I think the last time it happened was probably 2007. And you had an environment wherein large caps, mid caps, small caps all did well at the same time. In the textbooks, it's written that when something like this happens is how you define euphoria. And I think that was really the best way to define euphoria. So I think we've been maintaining a cautious stance. I think this is a classical downtrend that we've got into. We will make a series of lower tops and lower bottoms. There are just too many headwinds that India and the world is dealing with at this point of time. You could talk about valuations, you could talk about risks around elections, you could talk about the geopolitical risks, interest rates, inflation, and with what global equity markets have done in the last 2 weeks. You know, it's not been a good space. Look at the Russell 2000, it's at a 52-week low. The NASDAQ, which was the outperforming market has corrected quite a bit. The reason I'm bringing these global points is because it's very relevant to India. Till a month back, it was just a party for Indian market standalone, and everybody thought that this party is going to continue forever. But we live in a synchronized world. We have to move together. The trajectory, the trend is always together. There will be phases wherein India will do its own thing, which it did for about 3.5 months, but thereafter it's all got aligned, and now India's outperformance in the global basket, I think, is done and dusted. So coming back to your point in terms of levels, I do believe that this downtrend will continue for many more weeks to come. I do believe that this support zone of 18,850, 900 will break, and eventually it will take the index down to 18,400, 500, which is a very important support. And we will review there, not to say that that's the worst case and we will stop there, but we will definitely review there. And the problem is there are just too many levels on the upside that will act as a ceiling. 19,200, 19,400, very important resistance, and I don't see that being taken out. The only positive as I see is the domestic liquidity. You know, the 16,000 crores coming into the system every month, that will in some sense protect the market from a collapse or a deeper fall.
All right, now Adani Green Energy has posted robust second quarter results with profits surging 149% over the previous year. Margins expanded and revenue also saw an uptick. The robust growth was primarily driven by capacity addition over the last 1 year and improved capacity utilization. Listen in to what CEO Amit Singh had to say about the company's future plans.
As we drive our next wave of growth, our focus will remain on these 5 key pillars. Development of affordable renewable energy along with storage solutions to enable better integration with the grid. Secondly, capitalizing on project execution expertise and increasing scale backed by advanced resource planning and fully integrated project management and assurance. Thirdly, development of human capital and expanding local content and supply chain. Fourth, accelerating digitalization and automation to drive efficiency improvement and cost reduction in some of the projects we are operating. Continue to optimize the finance costs while managing the duration risk with a diversified global finance pool.
All right, now AU Small Finance Bank has acquired FinCare SFB, which is the second notable merger in the small finance banking space. But as these small finance banks are acquired by bigger entities, will we see more consolidation in this space going forward? Here's what FinCare's MD and CEO Rajiv Yadav had to say.
We have always believed that as we can be very successful as a standalone bank. I think we have always believed that, and I continue to believe that also. Okay. I think this thought came up, we discussed, and it sounded outstanding for everybody concerned, including our customers and everybody concerned. So we went on this path. But I am a firm believer that if you execute a small finance bank model right, and if you started microfinance, keep on building the secured book right, those models will succeed and flourish just the way AU has flourished or other banks are flourishing at this point of time. So I think our merger is an optionality that we had. If we had not found a bank as good as AU and Sanjay leading it and the team that they have, and if we had not found the synergies for our bank, and if we had not found the common mindset and the fact it works for all of us stakeholders, and we would not have done this, and we would have been on a path of success, maybe less, maybe more, that only time can tell. But I think it does not reflect anything poorly on a standalone SFB model, including if it's a microfinance-led model.
Indian hotels reported an uptick in revenue and profit in the second quarter. BQ Prime spoke to the company's MD and CEO Puneet Chhatwal about the demand outlook going forward. He also outlines the company's growth initiatives for the coming quarters.
The impact of foreign tourist arrivals in India for tourism purposes, not for business purposes, is still at 50-60% level of what it used to be pre-COVID. That is an opportunity for us. Our US portfolio is an opportunity, and our biggest opportunity is as of this month, we'll be opening 2 hotels per month for the next 36 months at a minimum, which means 72 new hotels, almost all, let's say 90% or 80% of it on a fee-based business, which means our management fee income, which was a few years ago at 150 crores, could go up to 600 crores in 3 years from now, with a flow through of 65 to 75%. That is what drives your margin. That's what drives your profitability. And personally, I remain optimistic. I've even taken out the word Neeraj, cautiously optimistic. I remain now optimistic that the demand pattern coupled with our not like-for-like growth will help us stay resilient and ahead of anyone else on the India's domestic sector.
IDFC First Bank reported a 35% year-on-year rise in profit in the second quarter. Asset quality for the quarter improved while total advances for the lenders rose 26% on a yearly basis. Here's what the MD and CEO V. Vaidyanathan on the bank's asset quality for the September quarter. Here's what he had to say about that.
In our case, first of all, we don't take comfort from the fact that it's not my book. It's true, by the way, not my book in our case, because certainly we are seeing that the asset quality performance is very stable. And the numbers speak for themselves because our gross NPA last quarter was 1.53%. This quarter also is 1.53%. Last quarter, our net NPA was 0.52%. And by some strange coincidence, it's still 0.52% this quarter also. So it's truly, our book is very strong and stable. Your investors, our investors and your viewers, everyone should, feel comfortable and happy with that. But we also feel that it is time to, we are tightening our credit norms on these fronts just to be extra safe on this front.
All right, so an outlook on the Indian stock markets, of course Q2 earnings reviews as well. So a whole lot of business news, but with that, this is a wrap on Let's Talk Business.